Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and this podcast is focused on creating an ecosystem of academic excellence and helping you as a leader, as an educational expert, as a stakeholder to growing schools, whether independent charter, whether private, whether public, or even homeschool communities. Our goal of this podcast is to help you create that ecosystem and drive academic excellence. Today is an expansion of a previous podcast episode where we talked about the 4 stages of fundraising. I broke down those 4 stages and I talked about activating your development team, creating awareness and attracting stakeholders, creating that value ask and asking for money, as well as advancing that relationship forward. All 4 of these steps are absolutely critical in the process of driving success of your school through mobilizing resources. But what's most critical is to understand each of these steps individually so that we can not just hear information, so that we can actually execute, so that we can achieve excellence through mobilizing resources for our school. So we're going to talk about step 1 today, which is activating your development team. How do you build your development and fundraising team? What does that look like? Why is it important? And how do we achieve success through doing it? Now, the first step is understanding, again, what is development? Development, in my opinion, is anything that moves us forward towards the initial goal, vision, and mission of our institution. Development and advancement looks like achieving a fundraising goal so that we can be able to get to open a gym. Whether this is development looks like raising money for the school. Development looks like adding an arm of service learning programs or an initiative and us achieving it, or raising funds for a library. It's achieving something to be able to just grow our school forward so that we can be able to continue to drive impact within our specific community. Now, outside of that, the first step that we talk about in development is assessing what the heck is going wrong within our institution. What are the potholes? What are the issues? Looking at the data to be able to show us, well, what needs to be implemented, what needs to be changed, what needs to be started, what needs to be stopped in order for us to be able to get the school moving forward. In a previous role where I was a director of school culture and student advancement, one of the challenges that we had is literacy. Like one of the national challenges that we're seeing. But looking at literacy, we can't just get curriculum. We can't just hire new staff members. Yes, that's something that we can definitely do. But how are we going to enforce the importance of books and reading if we don't have books and we don't have libraries? So one of the things that we initiated is I led a team and worked with community partners and did the work. And we got 18,000 books for different campuses around in our network. And we built libraries in our specific campuses. Through that, it created an avenue and an arm for students to go through the libraries and understand the checking out. And we created competitions and engaged with teachers and taught them how to leverage these books. By the end of the school year, our literacy scores skyrocketed just by understanding the importance of development, just by understanding a need within the school. So it's important for you as a team, it's important for you as a leader to first understand where are the holes within our school that are stopping us from being able to get to our destination more smoothly. Once that is understood, it's important that you sit down with your leadership team and get on the same page. Another challenge that I've experienced is when board members have their own initiatives that they want to push. Leaders, if you have multiple campuses, they individually have their own initiatives that they want to push. And students and parents and teachers, everyone is not on the same page. But what's most important initially is for you to at least get leaders on the same page. Because when you have a leader that is in belief of the vision, they understand the mission, they are confident, prepared, and backed by all of the leaders, and everyone's on the same page, that trickles down and becomes contagious for us to be able to talk that talk with our teachers, talk with our parents, share with our students, and now we're all moving in the same direction. When we have that, this allows us to leverage mission-driven leadership and vision, where everything is connected back to what the mission says, what the vision is, and how we're using our values and integrating our values into everything that I do. Whether that is approaching or assessing specific donors based upon the values of the organization, whether that is this initiative that we want to create doesn't align with our mission, or that opportunity isn't aligned with what we want to do in the vision of our school. We have to go back to that and understand it, read it, or even update it so that everyone can be on the same page and clear in the type of success and growth that we're trying to create. Now, one of the challenges that we often don't talk about, because it's hard to talk about, in these initial conversations, you will see potentially what leaders need to be on this bus as you move forward, but also what leaders may not need to be on the bus as you move forward. And if you have leaders that are not in alignment with mission, that are not in alignment with values or vision, that are not going to be committed to achieving this work or pushing this work forward or even communicating this, if you have leaders that are out of alignment and potentially will create toxic cultures or disconnections with their teams, it may be time to have a different conversation or to move people out, but also move people up in this process. The next step is for us to create clear and craft clear and concise communication that are in alignment with our organizational values and goals. What this looks like is, as a school community, we recognize that literacy is not just a national issue, it's a worldwide challenge. But we want to be on the forefront of transforming our school culture and our student achievement scores through adopting specific literacy resources. So we are launching a book drive to be able to get parents and community partners on the same page as we focus on collecting 20,000 books in 6 months. Now you've said that, look, we understand the problem. This is what we're doing to solve it. We need your help. We want you a part of this team. And this is our specific goal. Now, until that goal is met, we don't need to introduce many goals. The challenge that I would shy away from is launching 8 initiatives at the same time. I would do maybe 1 or 2. We would recommend this as an organization so that all of your parents, all of the stakeholders of your school can align with that specific one goal so that they can be focused on achieving it. Once we've achieved that goal, we celebrate, we connect as a community, we have a celebration, and then we announce the initiative for the next goal. And then I would focus on doing that collectively over a period of time. All right. The next step, once we've communicated with our teams, communicated with our stakeholders, communicated with our community, is for us to really be able to get aligned, expansive, and have a mindset of empowering our leaders. This is where you bring in an executive coach. This is where you bring in a specific thought leader to work with your leaders on how to be leaders, where they're aligned with mission and also able to grow and expand this specific initiative so that they can lead their teams, so that they can grow their teachers, so that they can communicate effectively with the parents, so that they can navigate spaces or political conversations with the community, so that they can forge partnerships. Leading behind a desk is not leadership. Being a principal that only is in a school is not leadership. You have to get out behind your desk in front of people and be able to understand how to grow your school forward. When we're looking at fundraising, if it's not coming to you, if you don't have a big donor base, if you don't have a strong alumni or strong alumni engagement, it's important for you to get out in the community. And as the leader, it's important for you to be the face of the organization and shake hands, don't kiss babies, but do the work so that you can be able to bring these people back to your institution. Now, before we can really be able to have conversations that are valuable, one of the questions that I want you to think about is, what is your unique selling proposition? What separates you from any other school out there? What is the thing that you do well? What is the thing that you do different? And what is the thing that separates you from every single individual school or school district or school community? These things are super important to understand because it oftentimes tells the story of your organization. Where, why did we begin? Where are we now? What have we achieved? Where are we going? Who is our superstars? And why are we the best? If we can answer those 5 critical questions, why did we begin? Where are we now? What have we done? Where are we going? And who is our superstar? 6 questions. And what makes us the best? I can guarantee you'll be able to create an advancement team and development initiative. And this is how you build your fundraising team. This is how you get the people that are connected to that specific step. And that gets me to one of the most important parts of this process of really being able to activate your development team. When we think about all of what we've talked about already, understanding the 5 key questions of why did we begin? Where are we now? What have we done? Where are we going? Who is our superstar? What makes us the best? Those 6 questions. Thinking about what is our unique selling proposition. How have we established value as an organization? Are we sending students to internships? Are we getting a certain set of students to Division I colleges? Are we creating the future generation of STEM leaders? Do we have a specific coding program? Like, what makes your school different? When you think of all of these various components of your school, now it's important that you focus on a portrait of a graduate. What that looks like is when I went through the program, when I was an ELA teacher in a middle school, portrait of a graduate is asking yourself, where are we taking our students? When our students finish our program, whether you're an elementary school leader, a middle school leader, and high school leader, whatever that looks like, when students leave our programming, who are they? What do they become? What do they create? Where are they going? And then you focus on backwards design to be able to create and align all of the various things that you're doing with that specific goal. If we have a classical school and we want students to be enriched in classical education, do our students engage in the arts? Do we have contracts and partnerships with specific arts companies or the theater or production companies? Are our students engaging in these various ways? Do we have certain classical texts that our students are reading? Do we have internships or externships or study abroad programs where our students are engaging in different countries? If I look at the portrait of a graduate, does my school align with those specific things? Now, as we continue to grow from a portrait of a graduate, now once we understand all of these various things and we have all of this copy and all of this writing and all of this documentation to show why we are the best, now it's important to develop a target goal for fundraising and development. Now, what I recommend is that this goal needs to be exclusive with leaders and board. We don't need to share this yet. We don't need to share anything yet. We need to be able to get people on the same page with what this goal is, what it means, what it represents, and what it's going to be able to create for our school. All right. Once we've expanded on that and once we understand it, now what are the development tools and resources and assets that we need? We're going to need a way to be able to communicate with donors. We're going to need a way to be able to research donors. We're going to need specific materials designed, whether it's through Canva or one of our community partners. We're going to need ways to survey people, but also invite them to events. When you think about every single step in your process to be able to get people from unaware to committed stakeholder, what are all of those specific steps that you want to be able to take someone on? And then what are all of those systems that may be needed as a part of that process? Communication tools, follow-up tools, surveying tools, engagement tools, all of these various things. Once we have all of this, now we have to build out a timeline. One of the schools that we're engaging with the Culture Lab, the biggest component with the Culture Lab is they want to be able to have $1 million raised within 4 years. 4 years. That is an amazing goal, but that's also a lot of time in between. So our goal that we push back onto them is we want to be able to raise that $1 million within the first year and then continue to grow upon that specific goal. So when we look at this major goal of doing X with your money over a 4 to 5 year plan, how can you cut that in half so that we can be able to build timelines, initiatives, KPIs, or key performance indicators so that we can be able to accomplish that specific goal? Once we have that, what is our vision statement? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Why is this important? And what is the result? And what do we need from you? Okay. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? What is the result? And what help do we need from you? All right. Then once we have this, now it's time for us to be able to establish our committees. When I look at committees, I don't just look at them as like PTA, PTOs, and it's no shade to PTA or parent-teacher organizations or associations. The goal of the committee that we're going to be building for a development team are individuals that are who's in a sense. And what I mean by that is years ago, I read this book called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. And the concept of the book is sometimes we get a lot of worker bees, and sometimes we're even worker bees and trying to figure out the how do I do this, or how do I accomplish this, or how do we figure this out, rather than just getting a bunch of who's that already have figured it out and are willing to contribute or be supporters to what we're trying to accomplish to be able to move the needle forward quicker and more efficiently. So who are people based upon what you want to accomplish, based upon partnerships that you want to establish, based upon timelines, based upon gaps that you want to be able to fill? Who are people that have already done this work? Maybe you have parents in your specific school that are great marketers. Maybe you have parents that run a digital marketing agency or a print company to be able to give you a discount on printing materials. Maybe you have someone on your staff that is an amazing graphic designer. Maybe you have a student that is just an amazing speaker or would be a great example of what you're trying to develop. Maybe you have someone in your community that wants to pitch on your behalf, or someone that's really connected with politicians or the small business community, or sits on a chamber of commerce. Who do we have in our network that we can recruit to this specific team? I would recommend 5 to 7 individuals. I would recommend setting a cadence to connect on on a bi-weekly basis, but then also have quarterly specific check-ins that are very detail-oriented and specific to what we're trying to achieve. And all of this front-end work allows us to understand the types of people that we need to be able to have on this team. Now, to just recap really quickly, we want to be able to first understand what are the problems, what are the potholes. That allows us as leaders to understand our priorities and get aligned around our mission so that we can leverage mission-driven leadership and vision. Then it's important for us to craft clear and concise communication so that we can be able to share that so that everyone can be on the same page in regards to all of our stakeholders. Then it's important for us to answer the question, how are we bringing value as an organization? And what is our unique selling proposition? What makes us different from every other school? And then have to ask yourself those 6 questions. Why do we begin? Where are we now? What have we done? Where are we going? Who is our superstar? And what makes us the absolute best school in the nation or in the state or in the county? Then we have to design and build a portrait of a graduate so that we can be able to connect those specific moments to the money that we're trying to be able to drive within our school. Develop those target key goals, develop timelines, and connect those systems as a part of that customer journey. And now it's important for us to build our development team that are in alignment with a who, not how model, that have the skills and the efficiency to be able to achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve. Establish a committee that's not just focused on gifts, not just focused on workshops or candy or great moments. The focus of this team is to be able to drive the organization forward to the best of its ability. I'm your host, Kyle King, and this is another episode of the Contagious Culture podcast, and we'll see you all next episode.